Well, one thing seems to be an ironclad conclusion from the Sandy Hook shooting is don't send any of your kids to government schools. They control all security, they control all policies, and they control all policies in every other way what your kids be taught, besides what drugs and meds and what other types of discipline can and cannot be done. So why even send your kids to government schools? They're not safe. They're not safe at all. It's like Adam Lanza, I'm going to state this right now. This is a conspiracy theory. Now, I could say something before the conspiracy theory, which I think is an ironclad fact. Every single one of these shootings that occurred by all these young individuals over the last 2 decades or so involving weapons of various types, these perpetrators were all on psychotropic drugs or some type of psychiatric meds, and they were under the care of psychologists and psychiatrists, drug pushers and quacks, in my opinion. So, really, I think the real blame of this not is the guns, and it's probably even less than the perpetrators because they probably weren't even in their right mind due to the meds they were being given. Meds can screw your head up. Like, in other words, you look at the LSD experiments from the early 60s and the late 50s when they gave perfectly normal people LSD. Look how they acted. That's what these people are doing with these psychotropic drugs and psychiatric meds. They know exactly, they know what they really do is they're addictive and they're good for their pocketbook. So all these shootings were related to that. That is an ironclad fact. What ought to be banned is psychiatrists. They're bad news. And actually, I can't say that in a true sense because just like I totally respect true health professionals, I totally hate the snake oil money whore doctors that are actually posing as true health professionals. And that's pretty much what happens in the psychiatric world too, except they're probably even worse because you can't really tell what they're doing. It's not really based upon empirical evidence like, your cholesterol level is too high or something. It's like I look at you and I deem you have psychosis or some garbage, non-specified. Well, that I just wanted to get out of the way because that's one thing that's ironclad that is the problem, not the guns. It's these psychiatric meds and the psychiatrists and the fact that it's all run by the government one way or the other. But this is my conspiracy theory. It wasn't even Adam Lanza, his dead body was found there. I think there was, it's almost like what I would say is like the Lee Harvey Oswald type thing with JFK. Sure, Lee Harvey Oswald pulled the trigger or whatever, but he wasn't the main shooter. And that's what I'm almost thinking is going on here because the skill involved, you look at this Dr. H. Wayne Carver. This is right off of a YouTube video. And actually, I'm going to post a link on this video because I think it's great. It's got a lot of views on it too. But it is like he's stating some things that are not consistent. First off, the police. It's not per the, these are facts too. This is not like you can't argue a fact, It's like the police said they found the AR-15 Bushmaster rifle in the trunk of the car. It wasn't used to shoot the victims, the children. He took it, but he didn't use it. He used the pistols. He supposedly used 3 or 4 pistols. Now, this Dr. H. Wayne Carver said each body of the children had 3 or 4 rounds in them. You're talking, this person who fired these rounds, this Adam Lanza, supposedly did all this, had to fire like a couple hundred rounds very accurately. Something nobody who's even trained in weapons can do. Even on targets. If you're looking at, if you look at statistics, what police do, it's like they miss most of the time by far. I mean, they fire all these rounds. And the average person, when I'm putting this out to them, they're not familiar with guns. On television, you'll see 2 extremes. You'll see like the hero running away from somebody shooting at him with all kinds of machine guns and stuff. And they get away because the bullets all danced around their feet somehow, which is ludicrous. It's crazy. Or you'll see the other side where, the other extreme, where somebody just pulls out a gun and goes boom real fast and hits somebody from like 100 feet away, and it's like a hip shot or some garbage, and they shoot him between the eyes or some garbage in the movies, right? So a lot of people don't understand too much about how difficult it is to actually obtain skills with a weapon. It's not like you just buy one. It, Let me compare it to golf. I mean, I could buy the best golf clubs there are, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to go shoot subpar all the way around. I don't play golf or nothing, but I think that is an excellent comparison. You can have the best equipment in the world, anything. It could be a bicycle, it could be anything, baseball gloves, whatever. You just don't get the skills. There's a lot of skills involved in weapons, a lot. And to try to shoot some moving people running away, kids that are scared running away, and while they're screaming, would unnerve that person shooting. These were the people. I'm going to say this. What I think it's almost like the JFK deal, except Adam Lanza was no Lee Harvey Oswald by any means. Not even close. Okay, Lee Harvey Oswald actually had training and actually he was in the right frame of mind, more or less. But Adam Lanza wasn't. Adam Lanza was a little skinny punk, lived in a basement and this kind of garbage. So, how the hell did he get off, a couple hundred accurate rounds with a few weapons? It wasn't him. That's what I'm assuming. It has to be. As crazy as that sounds, it's the only fact that you can have to come up with. He wasn't the only one there. So, I'm going to point this out, though. Assuming my little conspiracy theory here is right, because I'm going to mock that I'm saying this because I can't prove it, but I know enough about the weapons that it's not that simple, Somebody doesn't just go buy some Arnold Palmer golf clubs and shoot subpar course, They tried it, an average person went out there and tried it. I mean, if you went and said, here's a weapon, it has 15 rounds in the magazine, and go shoot these targets from even only less than 10 yards away. And these targets will be 2 feet big by 2 feet. And you just gave this to a person. Now you got a full minute to shoot off 15 rounds. It's one every 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, right? Like that. I'll bet you they would miss most of those targets, even though they're 2 by 2 feet and they're only 7 or 10 yards away. They would miss. I notice. So Adam Lanza just, shot screaming kids running in directions three or four times with hundreds of rounds. That's not correct. Now but I want you to follow through this. Say my little assumption is correct here. The type of people that are looking to disarm you, kill kids. The type of people that want to disarm you, that are playing this whole charade, kill kids. So after they disarm you, sky's the limit. If you look back in the Bolshevik Revolution, you look back some of the things that went on in the gulags and the different things. The stories are mind-boggling. It's some of the stuff that went on. It's not even written down. But there's no limit to what the most evil people can do. There's no limit, and these are the people that want to disarm you. But the cold reality of it is too. Government schools aren't safe, and it's not because government policy is right. It's because it's run by the government. These are a bunch of garbage people that basically are in a job and they're looking to retire. That's really what the government people do. It's a big show. They collect a check and that's all they do, and they're looking to retire. Like this guy, Dr. H. Wayne Carver, who the hell knows? I mean, another doctor that's overweight, shows such a bad example about health, obviously, but I guess he's a medical examiner, so... But, he's very sketchy about what exactly happened, but he does reveal a few things. Each child got hit 3 or 4 times. Daddy said it was a fact. Now, if you add that other fact in there that the AR-15 was in the trunk, that's what the police said, and it wasn't used, how hard is it to determine if a weapon was used or not, and if it's sitting in a trunk? It's not like it's sketchy, It's a solid fact. And so they said they use 3 or 4 pistols. And you also have to think, 3 or 4 pistols, right? So say you got 10 or 15 round magazines. You're going to shoot 200 rounds, right? At least. Because you shot all these children, each one of them got shot 3 or 4 times. So that's 200 rounds. You know that it got expended if there was 0 misses, which would make him like the best shot in the world, which he's not. He's not. I mean, the best pros wouldn't even be that good. So 200 rounds, how many magazines is that? 20? He changed out 20 magazines while he was doing this with 3 pistols, 3 or 4 pistols. This guy's a samurai if he did that. I mean, he'd have to be the best of the samurai. He'd have to be like a samurai that can actually take his sword and split a bullet into it with his sword. I mean, he'd have to be that damn good. And that's Adam Lanza? Bullshit. So my advice is, if you want your children safe, keep them out of government schools. If you don't go to private school, do homeschooling. The only thing is, I mean, you think about it, in government schools, look at the textbooks. Actually examine the textbooks. They got more garbage in there about things that are nonsense than they actually do about factual information that happened in history. It's more trivia knowledge. And why even subject your child to the regime that's going to be put down by the government, which is, you got a bunch of teachers in there looking out for certain psychiatric behaviors to give meds to and stuff like that to totally screw up your child's innovation and, ambitions. Dull them with meds, which is something else that they're doing. That's one theory, I think, why the economy stinks, because, they're doing this type of stuff. But government schools aren't safe. And you know what? You can't sue them for not making your child safe. You can't sue the police. You can't sue any teacher. You can't sue any school. You can't sue the psychiatrists that are actually coming from, basically some government entity. You can't sue them for malpractice. So avoid them. Who the hell needs them? And that's the really way to do it, because if nobody uses any of this crap, that takes away their money. Don't use the government schools. Screw them. To hell with them. Don't use them. Don't need them at all. So, and that's the only way to hit them, because it's not going to be a matter of bitching about this stuff. It's going to be a matter of having to push back, fight back, and push them way back, as they say, right? Because you're not going to be able to just say, oh, this is bullshit. No, it's not good enough. You're actually going to have to be on the offensive all the way. And Dianne Feinstein, I know that's one example, but you got to remember who the hell she's working for. These people need to be sent out of the country, period. Actually tried as traitors, too. That would probably be the best bet for the whole deal. Don't just leave it at, oh, we stopped the semi-automatic weapon ban. Now, get rid of all the rules and actually examine what the hell she's doing, why she's doing it, and also about how these kids really died. Was it Adam Lanza? I say no. I think he was like part of it. I think he's like like Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy. Adam Lanza wasn't even anywhere near the quality of Lee Harvey Oswald, and not quite obviously Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't the one that killed Kennedy. And here, Adam Lanza, he just fires off hundreds of rounds with like 3 or 4 pistols. He'd have to be like Buffalo Bill or some garbage shooting from his horse. I mean, he's not in that kind of camp of skill. No way in hell. And like I stated, it's not that simple. You don't just pick up a gun and just... Yeah, I guess you could shoot somebody from 5 feet away or something like that. But even then, if you look at statistics, police shooting at people from 10 feet away, how many times they miss? More than half the time. So if you figured Adam Lanza shot off maybe, for the number of hits that he had, 3 or 4 hits for each victim, he must have fired at least as many rounds that missed. So if you start doing the math, even if he was a really good shot, he must have fired 400 or 500 rounds. Try carrying that on you. Where are you going to put all those magazines? That's ridiculous. Where are you going to put all those magazines? You ever, any people on here, listeners, ever go out to the range and fire those kind of rounds and actually carry those kind of weapons, that's overload to the max. I couldn't do that crap. I've done a lot of this stuff too. I couldn't do all that stuff. This jerk did it? No way. These children were killed by professional killers. That's my conspiracy theory out there. It's going to be a hot topic, but it's probably not going to get a lot of attention. But I think it's deadly accurate. And the government, you can't trust your children's safety in government schools. So take them out. That's one way to get back at them too. Don't use any of their garbage.